All right, here we go. You are looking here at the current radar. This is on a program called GR Earth, and what it's showing you is the current temperature, and then it's showing you that peach area where the precipitation is mixed, meaning it's a mixture of ice pellets or sleet, rain, and snow. And then behind that is the blue, which is the snow. And as you can see from this, the temperatures that are below freezing have been coming south from the Ohio River up near Paducah to Evansville, and they will continue to go south as the rain in Jackson and the scattered snow right now actually in Jonesboro, Arkansas, continues to move towards the east in our direction. So what's going to happen next is the big question. We'll go ahead and look at the current temperatures. As you can see, we're at 45 degrees at 6:05 at BNA. The cold front has just come through, and if you zoom in, we're all the way down to 54 in Spring Hill, but in Joelton we should be near 40 and dropping even further. Clarksville's down to 36 already, and near the border, the land between the lakes, we've got 34 and 30 degrees, and we're sub-freezing now in northwest Tennessee. So what do the models say? And here's the HRRR model, and I'm going to run it back and forth a few times. This is the 22Z run for those of you scoring at home. It thinks there will be a changeover from rain to a wintry mix in northwest Nashville around 9 p.m. tonight, and that rain mix changeover will occur further into Nashville by 10, and then even further down, changing over into snow around 11 p.m. tonight. In Williamson County, we should start seeing a mix around 10 p.m. here, and then 11 p.m. And then by midnight, everyone should see snow if this model is correct. And we'll talk about why it won't be, or why it might not be correct here in a minute. Then you run forward into 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and 3 a.m. the light snow will fall off. Now again, this is just one run of one model, the HRRR model, but it seems to be, I think, lining up reasonably well with what we're already seeing on radar. Now let's look at a different model. This is the NAM3 model, and it doesn't run as often as the HRRR model, so the timing might be a little askew, but it says the same basic thing, which is Joelton, North Nashville. Around 9 p.m. should start to see a changeover from rain into a wintry mix, and you go forward another hour into 10 p.m. and that changeover occurs in almost all of Nashville, running probably from Antioch down to Brentwood, down to Franklin. Y'all are still rain, but for most of Nashville and the western half of Williamson County would be wintry mix, with the snow still having yet to fall. And then by 11 p.m. and 12 p.m., you'll start to see that transition from a rain-snow mix into all snow. Now, what's going to happen is that snow should start to taper off kind of at the last probably 2 a.m. according to this model, and I think that's probably a pretty fair idea of what will happen, because when you go back to the radar, you see out in Jonesboro that precip is pretty light, it's pretty scattered, and we've got, if you'll remember, just a few hours ago we were 60 degrees, and I wanted to point that out. If you look at actually the observations, and this may be hard to see, but at 11:53 a.m., so right around lunchtime, we were 62, 63 degrees. The cold front hit right around 5:07 our time, and the temperature went from 53 degrees at 5:07 to 45 degrees at 5:53, which means we were at a high of 64 today. The ground is going to be really warm, but what we think is going to happen is, and where did I put that? We think what's going to happen The wind is going to pick up really substantially as this north wind really starts to pile in here around 9 o'clock. And then by midnight, and this is what these grids are telling us, Weather Service thinks we'll hit freezing, which is what this highlighted number right here says. And then by 3 a.m. we'll hit 28 degrees, and by 6 a.m. we'll hit 23 degrees. The concern isn't so much that we'll have any snow accumulation. The concern is that we're going to have some of this stuff start to freeze. And the bridges and the overpasses, which will cool a lot faster than the ground will start to freeze first. And we won't necessarily see that occur by driving around. You will only feel it because it will take the form of black ice. You can't see it, and it's, there's no glare or anything that's going to give it away. So the main concern is those of you who are driving after midnight, as that temperature hits below freezing, especially on I-840 over in Fairview, which is already at a little bit of elevation relative to the other interstates in town. There are a lot of bridges and overpasses there, which aren't necessarily easy to see. You've got that icing concern because the roads are pretty wet. Now, that said, you still have significant amount of wind coming down. Weather Service thinks that the wind gusts will be sustained around 18 miles an hour for most of the night, with gusts to 31 miles an hour. Those gusts will help dry the roads. Whether your particular street will be impacted is impossible to say. It will depend on lots of factors, namely whether or not there are enough ruts in that road for water to collect. Does the water run off? Is that road exposed to the wind coming out of the north? And if so, are there enough trees there to shield the wind? Because the wind is going to do a very good job of drying all of these really wet roads. So will we get an appreciable amount of snowfall? No. Is anybody going to sled? No. Will there be travel impacts? There might be a few travel impacts. The Weather Service said earlier today, and I haven't seen anything to the contrary, that they feel like there will be some bridges and overpasses that will ice. And frankly, there may be up to a half-inch of accumulation. But again, I think that will be mostly on areas that are not your basic roadways. Your roadways are going to take a long way to freeze tonight. It's going to take some time, but it might be cold enough for that to happen early in the morning. So making decisions about travel in the morning is going to be very difficult for those who have to make those decisions, because they're going to need to get out and drive at the coldest part of the morning and see whether or not there is ice out there. So if you have to get out, please be very careful overnight. There's a winter weather advisory is only in effect for those counties out to our east on the plateau at higher elevations, and they could get around 1 inch, which is what you see here on this graphic, that they might see around 1 inch, maybe even 2 inches in some of the higher elevations. But us in Nashville and us in Williamson County, you might see very little actual snow on the ground. It might collect in some grassy spots. You might get it on your deck. So be careful going out on your deck tomorrow morning. You got to let the dog out or anything. And again, watch those bridges and overpasses. We'll be covering this a lot this evening, and we'll be all over it throughout the night. If you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter, and we will be there to answer them. But again, according to the Weather Service, by the way, it looks like there are reports of snow up here in northwest Tennessee. The freezing line is approaching Clarksville, and again, I think we'll probably see some icing occur after midnight, but we'll see some flakes before that, because the temperatures up aloft where the snow comes down turns into snow faster than it sticks, which is to say that the air overhead cools a lot faster than the ground, meaning the ground is warmer than the air. So anyway, I'll go ahead and log off here. If y'all have any other questions, please let me know, and have a good evening. We will be on here. See you. Bye.